What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 140 are open. This week is another solo episode just with me, and we'll be talking a lot about Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Reggie's brand new podcast, and a fair bit more news. So, I'm glad you're all here in the House of Mario to enjoy another episode. 140, I had to think a little bit about that one, but it was, it's getting up there. We're getting to 150, and got to start planning what's going to go on with 150. Hopefully, we're not in the situation we are now, where it's just me sort of trying to claw up guests each week and everything, but yeah, we'll see where we are. What I really want to do is do like a call-in podcast where we sort of sit back and have people call in and, just have conversations with different people within our community and just have a good time. But we'll see what happens. That is what I would like to do, though. But to start off, I would just like to read out another iTunes review we got. So thank you very much to Zach Jackson over at Well Played. And he says, he starts off with 5 stars, which is fantastic. That's the main thing. That's the main thing, I think. Well, not really. It's, what he says is quite nice. So the title reads, A Good Time. And he says, I'm not a huge Nintendo fan, but Drew and Crew's discussions always interest me. Nintendo fans will love this potty as it's hosted by passionate fans who always give honest opinions. And the first thing that stands out to me is he says Drew and Crew. So I do understand that Bryce hasn't been on a long time now. It's been a fair while. So I understand if you can't remember Bryce's name, Zach, but that's all good. And, I can barely remember Bryce's name. I have to write it on the back of my hand. Every single time I refer to Bryce this episode, I'll be sort of looking down at my hand. But I can get away with that because this is audio. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So I guess what I've been playing is it's been pretty much the same as what it has been for a few months now. So it's been Animal Crossing and Pokemon, but I'm going to sort of blend that in because we've got a fair bit of Pokemon news, we've got a fair few Animal Crossing stories, and then the rest is other Nintendo news. So we'll blend it in with all the news and everything. So without further ado, let's just jump to the news straight away because there is a fair bit to get through. Oh no, hold on. I'm buggered up already. Embarrassing. Here we go. Look at this. Seamless.
Is that all?
I fight for my friends. My body is still.
So, one of the most interesting things from this week in Nintendo news, well, it's actually not really Nintendo news, but it involves Reggie Fils-Aimé, the ex-president of Nintendo America, and he's starting a brand new podcast to help with homeless students in New York. So I'm going to introduce this. I'm going to play a video from Reggie Fils-Aimé himself introducing the podcast, and I'll read the write-up on his charity GoFundMe page. So we'll start off with the introductory video from Reggie.
Hello, this is Reggie. I hope you're doing as well as possible and staying safe during these difficult times. I also want you to know that I'm joining forces with Harold Goldberg for a series of fundraising podcasts for the New York Video Game Critics Circle nonprofit organization. I believe in the cause, so much so that I'm part of the organization's board of directors. This series of 7 podcasts is going to be exciting, fun, and informative. We'll have some very special guests as well. Here's Harold with more.
Thanks so much, Reggie. It's going to be a great podcast series. We're asking for donations for 2 reasons. We're bringing our games journalism and narrative writing courses to homeless students in New York City. Homeless students comprise an underserved community that's really having a difficult time right now. So we want to help. In addition, we'll be taking our journalism courses online for everyone to use for free. I hope you'll donate now and join us for this very special podcast series with Reggie.
Alrighty, so basically Reggie Fils-Aimé and Harold are starting up a brand new podcast called Talking Games with Reggie and Harold, and it's like just on a more personal level. Like I I, like many Nintendo fans, really enjoy just listening to Reggie. He's had multiple guest appearances on other podcasts, and I just love being able to listen to him. So him having his own podcast to sort of talk about, whatever he wants really, and also video games, just is really interesting to me. So the write-up on their GoFundMe page, just sort of going more into it, is, and this is from the page itself. So help us help homeless students. Talking video games with Reggie and Harold will be a unique 7-part podcast with former Nintendo of America's president Reggie Fils-Aimé and award-winning author journalist Harold Goldberg. Donations will benefit the New York Video Game Critics Circle non-profits mentoring work in the time of COVID-19. Reggie is a NYVGCC board member, and Harold is the organization's president. We are raising funds for a new initiative to bring video games and games writing courses to high school students in homeless shelters in New York City. While everyone has been hit hard by this terrible COVID-19 virus in some way, the hardest hit underserved communities in the Bronx need our help. And no community has been hit harder than the students in homeless shelters who live in complex situations in the best of times and are having trouble even connecting to Wi-Fi hotspots right now. These are our communities in need. These are the communities we want to help. So at the moment of recording, they have currently hit $1,530 of their goal of $15,000. And from what I believe is, I guess it kind of works a bit like a Patreon. So you get bonus content if you donate. I don't know if there's like a amount you have to hit straight away, but this is something I'm fairly interested in. Just on a personal note, just like, I'd love to like hear more from Reggie, but also going towards a pretty cool cause as well. And looking at Reggie's Twitter account, the first guest is going to be Jeff Keighley as well. So that's going to be interesting. So would absolutely love to hear the show once it comes out in May and see what it's all about. And Reggie, if you're ever doing sort of a media circuit, going around trying to pimp out your podcast, please come by the House of Mario. Would love to have you. I reckon Reggie would be one of the guests I'd want the most on the show. It'd be just so fascinating to be able to talk to him and ask him questions about his time at Nintendo and just like just business strategies and everything in general. I think he's just a really interesting person. And I remember back years ago, like in the time of the Wii, there was an article that came out that Reggie was like talking about the other non-Nintendo games that he's playing, and it came out that he's playing like Resistance 3 and all of like these different games on PlayStation 3, and I think it'd be interesting just to sort of ask about his gaming habits and like games that he enjoys that aren't just like Nintendo games, because obviously he comes out and he says, my favorite games, The Legend of Zelda and all of this stuff, but it'd be interesting just to hear what some of his thoughts on Sony and Microsoft and everything else is going on in the industry now that he's doesn't have the chains tied to his ankles, and he has to doesn't have to worry about his the image of Nintendo. He just he's on his own now. So go and check out the GoFundMe page. I'll leave a link to it in the show notes to go and have a look at it if you're interested. And hopefully they do get some microphones. In the video that they're just using like Apple headphones, so hopefully they get some microphones. So we'll move on to some Pokemon news. There's a decent amount here. So the max raid battles that have been circulating, so Tyranitar, Togekiss, Rotom, Dragapult, and more are coming to max raid battles, and this is from Pokemon.com. So some popular Pokemon are taking over wild area in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Be on the lookout for Tyranitar, Togekiss, Excadrill, Whimsicott, and Dragapult appearing more frequently in max raid battles into May 11th, 2020. Also during this time, Rotom Wash will appear in Pokemon Sword max raid battles, and Rotom Heat will appear in Pokemon Shield max raid battles. To challenge these Pokemon in max raid battles, you must connect your Nintendo 3DS to the internet, etc., etc. So this is pretty cool. Basically, what the theme of these max raid battles are competitive Pokemon. These are extremely popular Pokemon for max raid battles in the game. The VGC, I know the one in Australia, like Togekiss was in every single battle, and Tyranitar and Excadrill sort of teamwork together in double battles just works really well, just with Tyranitar's ability setting up a sandstorm, and Excadrill being able to take use of that ability just through its typing. And it actually has an ability as well where it powers up its steel, ground, and rock type moves. So it comes in real handy. So if you're looking to build up a competitive team to sort of take on maybe ranked mode online, this is a great time, because you can just go and catch a Pokemon. You can level it up really easy with candies, and you pretty much have a team probably within an hour if you have the right items and everything. So really handy there. And this was really interesting as well. So in 1-star raids, when it just launched, so there was Drillbur, Drillbur, and they actually sort of mixed up some of his moves. So in the 1-star raids, they had Rotom Wash, which has Hydro Pump. So that's an electric water type Pokemon. And somehow they must have mixed up some of its moves with Drillbur. So you could get a 1-star Drillbur with Hydro Pump. The day after, they did fix that. And I actually had a look, but I couldn't find it. They must have fixed it by the time I was looking. But really interesting. So some people out there have a ground steel type with Hydro Pump. And people in the sort of the comments on Twitter sort of talking about it. Apparently, that Pokemon was banned from being used online because it's just really quite a broken thing. So if you did manage to get one, it's just a collectible item, really. It's like a sort of a misprint of like a Pokemon card or something. Like it's gonna be rare. It's gonna be cool to have, but you won't be able to use it. There isn't really that much use for a Hydro Pump on Excadrill anyway. Really, it's just sort of cool to have. You can maybe you can use it to deal with fire types, but at the same time, ground's still super effective against against fire anyway. So. Yeah, interesting. I looked for one, but all I found was just normal ones, so I didn't have it. So next up in Pokemon news is there's a throwback challenge in Pokemon Go, and I guess just on the note of Pokemon Go, I sort of put it down since the pandemic happened, just not because I haven't been getting around. I've been going to work and everything, but in between work and going home, I haven't been like stopping at Pokestops or anything. So I just like put the game down. I'm like, all right, just don't worry about it. But then the Abra Community Day happened last weekend, and I was taking a dog for a walk, and when I checked my phone, I actually saw that like Jamie Penning in our Discord community was like, oh, they're talking about Abra Community Day. I'm like, oh yes, I completely forgot. So I turned on Pokemon. I set up some what are they called again? Incense. I put some incense on, which lasts 3 hours that day, and went for a walk. And I was just finding Abras left and right. And on just for those who don't know, on Community Day, basically it makes one species of Pokemon spawn really common, and also makes the chances of getting a shiny of that Pokemon 1 in 30 chance, which is super high. In the games, it's like 1 in 4,000. Like it's just like crazy high rates. So a lot of people get really excited and go out and get multiple shinies. And since this Community Day lasted 6 hours instead of the usual 3 hours, I was able to get 22 shiny Abras, which was just crazy. like how rare these Pokemon are in the games. It was just really cool. And in some ways, it kind of diminished like the coolness of a shiny. Like there is like a bit of a difference there, sort of trying to go between like, oh, this is really rare, but when you've got 22 of them, I was like, don't know. But it was a lot of fun. I just like walked around with the dog and took her to the park and let her off, and I was just like spinning Pokeballs. And after a while, she just sort of sat there and was like, all right, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, sorry, there's a shiny Abras around here. And yeah, really enjoyed myself. So that sort of like got me back into Pokemon Go. Just during all this pandemic stuff. So I've been like switching it on and sort of noticed like some more changes. You can do remote raids now. If you can see a gym from your house, if you use a remote pass, you'll be able to activate the raid, and just that there's some really nice changes. They're really Niantic's doing a fantastic job of sort of adapting to the world at the moment, since their game's all about going outside and interacting with people, and that is exactly what we shouldn't be doing at the moment, especially in some parts of the world. It's not so bad here in remote South Australia, but if you're like, when Niantic's thinking about their big demographics, it's like New York, bit like big cities in America. So definitely a good move by them. So just on the news for the Pokemon Go. So like I said, this is from Pokemon.com. The regions of the Pokemon world are going to be highlighted in Pokemon Go's Throwback Challenge. So decades of Pokemon games have taken trainers through amazing regions of the Pokemon world to discover all kinds of awesome Pokemon. Now you can remember those great adventures in Pokemon Go with Throwback Challenge. Each week in May, you'll gain access to a timed research line, which is a new type of research that is only available for a limited time. Each timed research during this line during the event might remind you of the moments from the Pokemon RPGs. During each week, a variety of gameplay features and bonuses will also be in effect, making it more fun to participate in the event. And as a special treat, be on the lookout for Pikachu wearing different hats each week in the style of the top Pokemon originally discovered in each region, as voted by fans in the recent Pokemon of the Year poll. So for those that don't know, Greninja actually won that poll, not Charizard. Pikachu wasn't even in the top 10, which was, I guess, fair enough. I think everyone's kind of sick of, Pikachu, Charizard, all these like popular Pokemon pushed to the top. Still love them, but just Game Freak sort of lay back on them a bit. The Throwback Challenge main event will run from Friday, May 1st to Friday, May 29th, with each week featuring a timed research line from a different region: Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and then Sinnoh. After the main event ends, if you completed all 4 research lines, you'll gain access to the Throwback Challenge Champion 2020 Special Research, which revisits the adventures in the Univers region and the features as a reward with Genesect. Oh, that's pretty cool. Not only that, but all trainers will also be able to participate in an event from Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020 to Monday, June 8th, 2020, even if they didn't gain access to the special research. In this event, Galarian Meowth, Galarian Zigzagoon, Galarian Darumaka, and Galarian Stunfisk will be making their way into Pokemon Go. So I actually didn't read that bit. So Galarian forms are coming in, which are the forms just introduced in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So that's going to be cool to have them in the game. So obviously starting off from May 1st, you will have access to the Kanto line of things. So this is listed as features and bonuses. So Pokemon originally discovered in Kanto regions such as Venonat, Chansey will be appearing more frequently in the wild. Pokemon originally discovered in the Kanto region will also be available in battle in raids. The Pokemon will hatch from 7 kilometer eggs: Venonat, Machop, Onix, Lickitung, Tangela, Scyther, Pinsir, Lapras, and Eevee. If you're lucky, you might find a shiny Venonat. So they're introducing Venonat to the game. Pikachu wearing Charizard hats will be appearing in the wild. Event-exclusive field research tasks will reward trainers with encounters with Pokemon originally discovered in the Kanto region. There's a 2 times catch XP, 2 times raid XP, and 2 times hatch XP will activate. And it's pretty much the same for each region going on, apart from the different Pokemon you'll have in eggs, as well as in the wild and max raid battles. So I'm gonna try and keep up with this. It is like I've said it a lot of times, but it is sort of hard to play Pokemon Go down here just with the lack of people and the lack of Pokestops and all of that. I have sort of gotten around that, but just the raid battles are really hard. Like at the moment, there's Darkrai. Darkrai is a Pokemon that I really need for my Pokemon home. Mainly because my Darkrai that I got originally in black and white, I did a glitch to get it. So I basically walked through an invisible wall instead of doing it the proper way. And like, it is a legit Darkrai. I caught it and everything, but just the game knows I didn't take the boat. I just walked through a black screen. So yeah, really looking forward to sort of getting into this stuff. And Pokemon Go pretty much is the one mobile game I actually play like properly. I know like Bryce, he talks about Dragalia Lost, and he's always like dabbling in multiple of these games, but Pokemon Go, that's enough for me. I'm happy to spend money on Pokemon Go, maybe like $10 a month type of thing. I'm happy to, keep it going. They're really good at updating everything, and it's in a really good place, Pokemon Go. It is really fantastic, and I cannot wait until they add functionality with Pokemon Home. So that's where all my shiny Abras are going to be going. But the thing is, though, they're introducing like Pikachu wearing different hats, and it's like, whatever. That's pretty silly. I'll catch one, but I've caught like multiple Pikachu with different hats, but you can't get rid of them in the game, which is annoying because it just like clogs up my storage with Pikachu wearing hats, and it's like, whatever. All right. So this is about the Pokemon anime. So the Pokemon anime is coming on June 12th to Netflix, which is good for me because that's like the one service I subscribe to. So the article reads, fans who are looking forward to seeing the further adventures of Ash Ketchum and Pikachu won't have to wait long. As the 23rd season of the iconic Pokemon animated series will launch as a Netflix original in the US on June 12th, 2020. In Pokemon Journeys, the series, Ash has left the Alola region behind with a brand new plan in mind. See the world! Ash will travel with new friends Go, another boy with boundless curiosity about Pokemon. With Ash as determined as ever to become a Pokemon master and Go aim to catch every single Pokemon, including the mythical Mew, our heroes are in for another adventure and excitement as they explore the wide world of Pokemon. So I guess the thing here to note is that this is going to be a Netflix original series, which is really interesting. Obviously, we've seen Pokemon, the original series and the movies are pretty much only on Netflix. You can't find them on Crunchyroll. You can't find them on any other streaming service. And only recently, Mewtwo, the Power of Us. So I always butcher the name, but the remake of the very first Pokemon movie that came out exclusively on Netflix, day and date, in English anyway. So Netflix and the Pokemon Company have obviously had a pretty good partnership together, and now that Pokemon Journeys is going to be a Netflix original, it is interesting because I guess like that back when I was a kid, it was like in Australia, it was on Cheese TV. So every morning you wake up, it's on at a certain time, and for a couple of series they were on Cartoon Network. So that's another sort of I guess service to where kids already are, and they'll get into Pokemon. That's how I originally got hooked on Pokemon. It was just randomly on TV. I'm like, this is cool, and history just writes itself from there. But with Netflix, I guess it's kids sort of already got to know that it's there. It's not just going to be randomly be on amongst like say Dragon Ball Z and like whatever else. I'm not sure how that works, but just on a more selfish note, I am happy that it's on Netflix because, like I said, I'm not going to subscribe to all these different streaming services. I'm not going to subscribe to Stan. I'm not going to. I was thinking about sort of going to Crunchyroll just to actually watch the new. They're remaking the first season of Digimon Adventures, which is a show that I just absolutely loved. Pretty much at the same time of Pokemon. Actually, I was going between those two quite frequently. So I was like thinking, should I sign up to watch Digimon? I haven't got around to it yet. I'll probably just watch it a week late, I think, for free with ads. The ads really suck on Crunchyroll. They're really annoying. But yeah, that's sort of what I thought. But I'm really looking forward to getting into this new Pokemon series. It seems interesting just with like the whole globe-trotting thing, and it's not just based in Galar, and it seems cool. So, but sort of what stands out to me is the first 12 episodes are going to be dropping on the 12th of June in the US, and I assume it's going to be the same time in Australia. But then every 3 months they're going to update it with another 12 episodes. which just seems like a really long time. So if you just like binge the first 12 episodes, then it's like a 3-month wait. That's a long time. It's sort of and there are news stories going around that they have delayed the Pokemon anime in Japan, so there is a bit of a halt on it. So I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with that, but it seems like a long time in between episodes. Not maybe like every month drop like 6 or something, but yeah, it's just something that stood out to me anyway. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this on Netflix, and if any of you guys are interested in the Pokemon anime, let me know and we can watch it together. So the last Pokemon story, this is from Nintendo Everything, and the title is Pokemon, new Pokemon Gen 2 leak surfaces, shows beta designs of Pichu, Celebi, and more. So the article reads, 2 years ago, the 1997 Space World demo for Pokemon Gold leaked online. It brought along a ton of interesting details and scrapped elements, including unused creature designs. There's now been another leak for Gen 2 with another round of juicy discoveries. What's my phone going off here? Oh, I better ignore that. It seems that today's leak involves a full source code of the classic Pokemon games. Fans will undoubtedly be digging through all these in days to come, but unsurprisingly, much of the talk thus far involves the Pokemon themselves. Beta and placeholder sprites are starting to spread online that show some pretty wild designs for Celebi, Pichu, and more. So it's got a big list of every single Pokemon sprite in the game that's been leaked. And some of the more notable ones are shown up the top here of the article. And it shows Pichu. Pichu very much looks like the same shape as a Pikachu. It's like, fat pretty much from the day. And Celebi looks like, fairly different. It's got like spikes on the back, and there's been a fan art that I've seen that's sort of redrawn it as a Native American. It looks really cool, sort of how they've interpreted it. And Shuckle, which is basically like he's sort of like, it looks like a pot just with like a snake coming out of it, compared to what it is where it's just like a weird shell with legs and a bit of a head. It actually looks like a bit of like a snake charmer's pot. And one that probably stands out to me one of the most is Wooper. Wooper, in the actual games, he is, I don't know how you would describe him, but in this, he looks like a dog. He's got like 4 legs, a tail, and he's got sort of the same face, but the rest, just looks like a dog or something. So if you're interested in seeing some of these sprites, I'll also leave a link to this Nintendo Everything article where you can have a look at all the sprites. And it's interesting because some Pokemon look like fully developed, like there's Fanphy and all of that, but there's like Larvitar, which looks completely unfinished. Looks like something you would just whip up in Microsoft Paint or something. It looks hideous. He looks like just like a bean with like a bit of a face. So moving on from the Pokemon news, we'll move into some Animal Crossing. It's not really even news. I just thought some interesting things to bring up to discuss. So this is from Nintendo Life, and the title is 1 month later, Animal Crossing New Horizons review bombing is only getting worse. So I read this on the show a few episodes ago that Animal Crossing is getting absolutely bombed on Metacritic. So the critics have given it a 91 all up. The world is absolutely loving this game at the moment, including myself, and it's showing in the reviews. But the user score has gone down from a 6.4 to a 5.1 since I last had a look. And it seems like people are just really hanging on to this one island per Switch thing. It's really offending some people. And it's something that I really can't comment on because I'm just playing this game by myself on my Switch. So making fun of these people, I guess it's a bit unfair, but I will anyway. So these are some quotes that Nintendo Life has pulled out for us. So one user says, "The game is probably fine, but you can't fully experience it if you are the second player on the same console. This has to be the worst game design decision ever. Shame on you, Nintendo." Someone else says, "Locked to a single island per console in a disgusting money-grabbing attempt from Nintendo. also a stupid game in general. Who likes doing chores to get out of debt from a raccoon? I mean, a lot of people apparently. The game's selling very well. And the last quote here, Nintendo games are really going downhill, and the problem is the fact that people are buying their games due to nostalgic before their parents were divorced. I mean, that's a harsh one right there. I mean, I bought it, and my parents are still together, so I don't know if that's exactly the reason, but maybe we're having a look into their sort of way of life a bit more than they sort of meant to let on. But interesting nevertheless. It's a really weird game you'd think that it would be getting review bombed. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. The game's selling very well. But the game's just getting smashed. I don't know. Every now and again you do see this sort of review bombing for certain titles. But yeah, it is a weird one to get review bombed. So next one is also an article from Nintendo Life, and this is just a random one I thought was pretty funny. So basically this person has started up a company to weed your island in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And the article reads, since Animal Crossing New Horizons launched last month, we've seen plenty of wonderful designs, islands, and funny moments created by fans of the game. Despite all of that, we have never expected to see something quite like this. Spotted by Eurogamer, a Reddit user going by the name of Tabat11 has set up Weedco, a weed removal service which can be called upon by Animal Crossing New Horizons players. It probably sounds like we're joking, but this is an actual real thing that's happening. Demand has reached such a point that there's now an online booking form. No payment is required for the service, although tips are appreciated, and any bookings will ensure that your island becomes beautifully weed-free. Tabit11 shared a brilliant video to Reddit showing how new employees were taught on the job. To pass, a potential employee must expertly pick weeds amongst other flowers that look like they and look for any that might be hiding behind trees or cliffs. The result is a position at the company and even a uniform. So I watched a video and someone set up on their island like a bit of a trial. So there's like at the very start, you're basically picking weeds between 4 flowers. And you've got to go into the middle. You make sure you don't pick up the flowers instead of the weeds type of thing. Then it goes to sort of a more complicated one where trees are blocking it, and there's 2 cliffs, and you've got to press the ZL trigger to bring up your phone, and that actually changes the angle of your camera so you can see the weeds behind the cliff. It's just like a kind of a really nice story basically. I read this. I'm like, really? And people are, there's like Gary Whittaker. Gary Whitta, that's his name, who I listen to most weeks on kind of funny Games Daily, and he set up a sort of a talk show in his Animal Crossing house, and people are just like being really creative with this game, and just really interesting ways. And I think the community is just so fantastic for this game. Apart from the people that are really offended that you can't have much fun being player 2, I guess. But apart from that, everyone's just really embracing this game, and this is super important, a super important game for, I guess, just gamers and how we're all feeling at the moment. And I was thinking today, it is just starting to hit me how big this game is. I've been reading news articles about, it's selling millions, it's top of the NPD, it's the most sold digital game for Nintendo ever. It's just breaking all these records, and it's only just sinking in just with just how much content people are starting to make for this game. There was a new Animal Crossing podcast I saw announcing. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll listen to that. Then there's another Animal Crossing podcast, and there's a lot of people starting Animal Crossing podcasts just from the people I follow on Twitter. And there's a friend of mine in Ten Talk. His channel went from under 5K, and now it's at 35K, and that's because he's doing tutorials on how to make your island look good in Animal Crossing, and people are just flocking to his channel because people are hungry for Animal Crossing content, and it's just really interesting to watch. It's not just big in sales, it's big in just people's interest. And it sort of makes me think like, maybe we should have done some more Animal Crossing content, but you do what you can do, I guess. But really, really a heartwarming game at the moment. And so yeah, this is also another sort of example of how big Animal Crossing is becoming. And this is mainstream. Not that I read this newspaper because I'm Australian, but actually, is this a worldwide paper? No, I don't think it is. So this is from My Nintendo. It's from Nintendo Life. I keep saying My Nintendo Life because there's a site called My Nintendo News. But Animal Crossing's Tom Nook made the front page of the Financial Times today. So fans of Animal Crossing New Horizons will be more than familiar with the raccoon overlord Tom Nook by now. The series mortgage lender and I've activated Siri. Distract me, sorry. And island starting entrepreneur who probably spends his weekends swimming in a pile of cash, but now he's really made it, being considered a real life economics focused media. Financial Times, international daily newspaper. So okay, we can read it here in Australia. I really don't read the newspaper. You probably guess from the type of person I am. I probably should read the newspaper more, but alas. A newspaper that specializes in business and economic news has featured Tom Nook and his in-game bank on the front page today. The newspaper's front page regularly hosts stories on the likes of world leaders and the world's largest banks and the latest political affairs. But the bank of Tom of Nook's recently interest cuts have earned Animal Crossing in a coveted spot. So there's an article on the front page of the Financial Times, and it says gamers hunt tarantulas after being caught. Let's bring it up a bit bigger. Oh, it's not working for me now. So when I go to click on it, it comes up with a big picture of Tom Nook. That's annoying. I can't read the actual article then because it's not working for me. It was working for me. Oh, there we go. Sorry for that, everyone. So gamers hunt tarantulas after being caught by an Animal Crossing rate cut. So this is what the Financial Times have to say about Animal Crossing. So savers at Nintendo Bank of Nook are being driven to speculate on turnips and tarantulas as the most popular video game of coronavirus economics global central bankers by making steep cuts in interest rates. The estimated 12 million players of the Japanese gaming group's cartoon fantasy Animal Crossing were informed last week about the move, in which the Bank of Nook slashed the interest on savings from 0.5% to just 0.05%. 1.9 million bells in the in-game currency can be brought online for about $1. The abrupt policy shift provoked flurry at once. A solid stream of income had been reduced to a trickle. I'm never going to financially recover from this, one player wrote on an online forum. The shock of Bank of Nook rate cut mirrors efforts by monetary authorities around the world to ease the effects of the coronavirus by cutting rates and lowering longer-term borrowing costs through the vast bond buying programs. Total worldwide stimulus announced in the recent months comes to $14 trillion, according to the IMF, after adding in various government spending packages. Now that the Bank of Nook has cut interest rates to near zero, their next logical step is quantitative easing. It's essential players try to hook their game up to their printers, as it might start churning out money, joked Albert Edwards, strategist at what is this? A socialite Garantel. The latest investment in Animal Crossing series has provided a well-timed addition for those looking for diversions during lockdown. The in-game thrusts the player in on a violence-free ecosystem of insect collection and home improvement, where the economic activity often depends on bank lending. It did not take long, however, for players to spot that they could defraud the game's bank by depositing large sums in saving accounts and then time traveling by tweaking the console's eternal clock. The bank deputy paid decades of interest, making Rapid Bell millionaires. People familiar with the situation said the Bank of Nook rate cut was an effort to curb the practice. Nintendo has made no official comment on the matter. The much lower interest rate means the most effective way of making money now is to gamble on the game's eternal stock market, a bourse in which the only commodity is rotting turnips. Players can also make money by catching and selling dangerous tarantulas, which only appear after 7 p.m. local time. So that's pretty cool. For that's just like, it's a pretty serious newspaper, but it's just got this. I guess in the terms of what this newspaper covers, it is pretty much just a joke, which is it's a cool that it's there. It's a well written article. I could imagine just like someone who's like, all right, time to check my stocks, big businessman type of thing, and they sit down and read that, like, what? I got no idea what it's on about. In the last bit of Animal Crossing news, Nintendo reiterates that they will continue producing Animal Crossing amiibo cards. So Nintendo has announced this afternoon that they will be continuing shipping and selling Animal Crossing amiibo cards. The news comes via Japanese publication Game Watch, who asked the Kyoto-based company whether they were planning to reprint them. Nintendo says that they will be selling the 4 sets sequentially along with the welcome amiibo cards. However, they said that the Centero collaboration cards won't be reproduced. I don't know what those ones are, but I got to be honest, guys. I was thinking about going on eBay or something and trying to find a Philbert card. I can not find Philbert. He is not coming to my village. I'm full. I've got 8 villages at the moment, and Philbert hasn't come to my campsite. I'm feeling a little bit saddened about that. So I was actually thinking about, all right, I need to find a Philbert amiibo card. But if anybody has a Philbert amiibo card out there, or Philbert in their village, or knows someone, if you know where Philbert is, if you can help me get Philbert into my village in any way possible, please reach out to me. DM me on Twitter or Facebook, or I don't know, whatever. I really want to know. I really want help getting Philbert, because I can't do it myself. Obviously, I can't find him. Yeah, a lot of talking. So this is a article from Nintendo Life, and this one's a bit of a concerning one. So Nintendo shut down limited Wii U and 3DS eShops in select countries. So Nintendo has announced that it will shut down the limited eShops for Wii U and 3DS family of systems in certain Latin American and Caribbean countries by the 31st of July 2020. On a brief summary on Nintendo's support page explains how users in affected regions will no longer be able to redeem codes, downloaded software, or update software. It's scary stuff if you're still attached to any of these devices and happen to live in this location. So this is the quote from Nintendo's support page. In certain Latin American and Caribbean countries, limited Nintendo eShops for the Nintendo Wii U system and Nintendo 3DS family of systems have provided a few basic functions such as game code redemption. Those limited Nintendo eShops will close on July 31st, 2020, and users in affected regions will now be able to access them to redeem a download code, re-download software, or update software. We also encourage users to take any such actions before the closure date. So while this isn't affecting everywhere, obviously, this is just in countries where the usage of 3DS and Wii U systems are probably limited quite a bit. And they're probably seeing that on the back end, like, a lot of people really aren't using this and we are paying for this service, so we may as well shut it down. But it is scary just like looking at this. If you're someone who's put a lot of money into the eShop on the 3DS or Wii U, I know like maybe not the Wii U for a lot of people, but the 3DS certainly, they had a lot of great digital only games a lot of us have gone to. And with the Wii shop shutting, I think it was like a couple of years ago now. Was it last year? Like it lasted for a long time, but it shut down. You can no longer access maybe hundreds of dollars of stuff you've bought on the Virtual Console or the WiiWare. And just like thinking about that sort of coming here and shutting it down on 3DS, that'll be really sad, because like even on like say the Sony side of things, like you can still, they haven't shut down the PSN for PlayStation 3 or Vita or even PSP. Like it's all still going. You can still go there, access stuff, buy stuff, download it. But Nintendo, since it seems to be all sort of separate, they're very separate for the 3DS, the Wii U, the Switch. Whereas on PlayStation, it seems to be all together. If you go onto your PS3, you'll be able to download Vita games, PSP games, and I know the PS4 is a bit different. You can't do that on there, but it seems to be like sort of running on the same server. Whereas Nintendo, it seems to be just completely separate, which is concerning. And years to come when it comes to the Switch, when the Switch is a legacy console, and a lot of us have spent, like me included, we spent thousands of dollars on the Switch eShop. And when it comes to the point where Nintendo is like, all right, switch off the shop. I guess this is a great reason for you guys out there who are like, oh, I buy all my games physically. I can trade them in. I can keep them forever. This is good ammo for you guys, because Nintendo seems to be pretty not very trustworthy with just their shops and buying digital licenses. So something to keep in mind for the rest of us. So this one's from Vooks.net, and basically Luigi's Mansion 3 DLC pack has come out, and it's just for the multiplayer modes. So the article reads just like that: the second Luigi's Mansion 3 multiplayer pack is out. This new content continues to add content for both the Screen Park and the Screen Scraper modes. For the Screen Park, you've got 3 more minigames, and the Scare Scraper gets 3 new outfits, matching floor themes, and themed ghosts. So, like, I'll be honest, I loved Luigi's Mansion 3, but I never even touched the multiplayer. I actually could not care less about the Luigi's Mansion 3 multiplayer, but for those out there who have bought the Season Pass and have been waiting for this new DLC to come out to get access to new costumes and minigames, have at it, because it's out. This was a really weird one. So this is also from My Nintendo Life, and Indivisible is out on Nintendo eShop, but the developer isn't happy. So basically what happened with this game is that the publisher released it while the developers weren't even aware about it. And even worse, the game wasn't its final build on the eShop at the moment. So there's a non-final build of the game released. So the article reads, remember Indivisible? Originally pitched as a potential Wii U release, this RPG adventure from the creators of Skullgirls raised over $2 million in its Indiegogo campaign back in 2015 and would eventually launch on PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2019. Switch owners have had to endure an even longer wait, but the good news is that, out of the blue, the game is available on the Nintendo Switch eShop. The bad news, Mike Zanmont, one of the original developers, isn't too happy about the version that has arrived on the eShop, nor was he informed that it would be launching this week. So this is a quote from Mike's Twitter. So he says, hey, that thing everyone wanted, Indivisible, is available right now digitally on Switch in North America. In Australia, it's here too. Feel like you missed the announcement? You're not alone. Our team found Indivisible, found people. it's blurred out a bit here. Found people on Twitter sent us congratulations. I had no idea, but here it is. It is holding a picture of his Switch with the game on it. So Zamort explains that the Switch port was not handled in-house, but he has nothing but praise for it in terms of performance, stating that the Switch version of Indivisible itself is great. The porting group did seriously excellent work, runs at stable frame rate, even handheld. His issue is that the port isn't based on the old build of the game, His issue is that the port is based on the old build of the game, which lacks co-op, New Game Plus, or anything else recent. Will be... Oh, this is the quote here. I'll be reviewing Indivisible as it stands right now, and we'll be asking when Nintendo players can expect the most recent build. But for the time being, keep in mind that the game that Lab Zero wants to offer Switch owners. So it seems like I guess another group was porting this game, and both the port house and the publisher, I guess they just didn't really need to have any communication with Zero Lab to get the game out. It is sort of a weird oversight to be like, oh, well, you guys just will have no idea that your game's coming out on Switch. But I guess with another team handling it and the publisher handling it, I don't know. It just sort of like shows that the communication between the publisher and the actual devs really needs to improve. It is a weird story, but the game is 20% off at the moment. So assuming that they are going to, the port house is going to incorporate the updated New Game Plus and everything into the Switch version, it might be a good time to buy it if it's 20% off. So yeah. Might skip that one. So another Nintendo Life. So Zelda Breath of the Wild is voted among the best stress relieving games in a new study. So we all play video games for different reasons, but one particular common reason is to unwind and de-stress after a busy working day. The specific games or genres we do this will naturally differ from person to person. But a new study conducted by Comfy Sacks has found The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a popular choice. The game actually came second in the study's top stress-relieving games, losing out on the top spot to The Sims. Other games like Minecraft, Pokemon, and Tetris, the latter of which could cause just as much stress as it relieves, in our view, also made it to the top 10. In the same study, games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Halo were voted the most stressful games. No Nintendo published games made it into the most stressful top 10. I don't know. Mario could be stressful sometimes, just some harder levels. In this, you can read the full study here if you're interested. So you can go to My Nintendo Life and get the link there. It surveyed just over 1,000 US gamers with a number of stress-related questions surrounding their gaming habits. The methodology is explained below. So this is from, what's her name? Comfy Sacks. To collect data shown above, we conducted a survey of 1,007 respondents. To qualify for this survey, respondents were required to play video games occasionally, almost every day or every day. Of the respondents, 293 reported playing occasionally, 356 reported playing almost every day, and 358 reported playing every day. The respondents' pool was 58.4 female and 41.3 male, less than 1% non-binary. A preliminary survey of 150 respondents was also conducted to gather the top 50 most played video games. So it's cool that Nintendo, it's cool that Breath of the Wild sort of made it into this, because I can see Breath of the Wild being just like a really relaxing game. You're sort of like doing whatever catches your attention type of thing. Like, oh, you're running around, you see some moms, you pick them up, you see a dragon in the distance, you go, oh, I'm going to go and have a look at that. And it's just like one of those games. But I don't know, man. The people playing this, did they see a guardian at the start? Like, were they already like enough through this game where they're like, all right, nothing bothers me, it's all good. But I remember like my first few hours playing Breath of the Wild and the first guardian I came across, I've never been so stressed in my life. Let alone, so I don't know, depends on what part of Breath of the Wild you're playing, but I can definitely see why it would be just nice and relaxing. It'd be interesting too if they did that sort of maybe closer to Animal Crossing, if that would be up there, because I can see Animal Crossing, it's got no action in it whatsoever, so that can be nice and relaxing too. Another article from Nintendo Life, and this is talking about sort of Google Stadia's recent announcements. And the article is Switch fans react to EA's partnership with Google Stadia. So Google's video game cloud service Stadia admittedly received a lukewarm reception when it launched in select locations last November. Since then, the search engine's giant has revealed more than 120 games are on the way to the platform in 2020. Now, to add to this, EA has announced it is teaming up with Google to bring Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Madden NFL, FIFA, and more to the service later this year. As you might have guessed, it's turned to quite a lot of heads within the video game industry. This new partnership has also notably come under fire from Nintendo fans on social media, and it appears to have in many other ways in general, questioning their arrangement. So this is pulling a few quotes from people on Twitter. So this is Nobel, and you might recognize him as like a sort of a industry insider who often has leaks and stuff like that regarding Nintendo. So EA announces partnership with Stadia, plans to launch 5 games. Then someone underneath just says, when you support Google Stadia way more than Nintendo Switch, it's clear you have your priorities wrong. EA doesn't make any sense. Stealth, who has actually been on the show before, even by Stadia standards, I don't think that Stadia Connect was very good. You can tell they're having a really hard time convincing people to bring games to the platform. It is funny though, EA are willing to support Stadia, which I'm not even sure has 1 million subscribers yet, versus Switch, which has sold over 50 million units. And Michael Scully says, EA really looked at Nintendo making millions of Switch and Animal Crossing and thought, let's throw our weight behind Stadia instead. And just like, I won't read any more, but when I think of Google Stadia, like at the moment, Google Stadia is a real joke. Like it really is. Like we don't even have access to it in Australia, so I can't say a hands-on thought of it, but just the idea of buying a game, then not actually being able to download it and play it reliably, just really doesn't appeal to me. Just on like the main competitor with Google Stadia is Xbox with xCloud, and you'll be able to stream it to your phone, iPad, laptops, probably like the Xbox itself, but you'll also be able to download those games to your PC, your Xbox Series X, your Xbox One. It's just like the Xbox just seems to be doing it a lot more, in a way that appeals a lot more to me, because you will be able to play it just really reliably at home. But if you're going out for the day and you have a good internet connection, you can just boot it up on your phone with your Xbox controller and play it like that. But what sort of, I can see Google Stadia's trump card being that once Google Stadia is integrated into YouTube, that is going to be huge, absolutely massive, and it's going to be able to reach people that don't play video games or don't play video games much. Sort of in their example with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So someone's playing it and there'll be like a little button at the bottom of that YouTube video where you can click on it and it instantly loads a demo of said game. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you can play it straight away on any device. That is going to be massive. That is going to be huge. And I think that is what EA is looking at. EA is looking at what that can do for series like FIFA and Madden, because a lot of people just buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One just to play maybe Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, etc. Like, these are games that are played by a huge player base. People that aren't necessarily gamers, they might just be sports fans, and just like getting rid of the console and people that can just play it straight off of any device is going to be massive for them in the future. They're not going to be doing they're not going to be expecting like a huge success in 2020. I don't think they're even expecting a huge success in like 2022, in 2 years' time. But when Stadia is up and running and people just have instant access to FIFA, and they'll be able to, buy their cards and all the microtransactions and all that other fun stuff that comes with a lot of these EA games, I think that's what they're looking at. And the Switch is doing awesomely. And EA spokespeople have acknowledged that multiple times. Like, Nintendo's doing great with 50 million plus, but it's just FIFA and Madden and these games they make, they're just not a good fit for the Switch. I know like their attempt at FIFA was a really bad attempt. Like, they just like put out like a really poor version of it, and then the next year they did a roster update, and then bam, it's a legacy edition straight away. Like, it was just like a really poor attempt. But those types of games just, it's not the necessarily right fit. And Star Wars, like Fallen Order, that's a game that's going to have to be like downplayed a lot for the Switch. And I personally wouldn't be that interested in getting it on Switch. Like, I wasn't that interested in getting it full stop because I haven't bought it yet. But that's the type of game I'd prefer to play on PC or PlayStation 4 or all that anyway. So, I don't know. It's easy just to look at Nintendo and be like, oh, support Nintendo, they're doing great. And like, look at Stadia if it's doing really bad, and say, why are you supporting them instead of Nintendo? But I think in 5 years' time, if Stadia does show itself as a success, it is a good fit for EA as far as getting its games to a new user base, whereas the user base on Nintendo isn't necessarily a new user base. It overlaps a little bit with PlayStation and Xbox, and if you weren't going to buy a FIFA anyway, I don't know. It's sort of a hard thing. Like, I did buy a FIFA originally on the Switch in 2017, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't really have the same reactions to a lot of these people on Twitter, but let me know what you guys think, because I think Stadia, while it's a joke at the moment, I think it can become a pretty dominant force once it's integrated within these other services Google does, such as YouTube, because the gaming communities on YouTube is massive. It's one of its most popular topics, and having that just integrated into YouTube, into like Let's Plays and everything, it's going to be massive, I feel like. But we're not there yet. Stadia doesn't have the games, it doesn't have the features, so there's a lot of things they got to fix before it gets to that point, but interesting nevertheless. And the last bit of news is Deadly Premonition 2 is coming on the 10th of July to Nintendo Switch. So this is from My Nintendo News. So Nintendo has announced a release date for the next game in the Deadly Premonition series. Deadly Premonition 2 will be arriving on Nintendo Switch on the 10th of July to accompany the release date announcement. The team has also put together a new trailer, which you can watch on YouTube. And it's also good to note as well that Deadly Premonition 1 is 50% off on the Nintendo eShop. And I actually played the original Deadly Premonition on PlayStation 3. The game originally came, I forgot what year it was, but it came out on Xbox 360 and maybe PC, I'm not sure. But then a special edition came to PS3 a few years later, and they added like PlayStation Move support and some like weird things I can't really remember at the moment. But Deadly Premonition, it's a cult hit. It's not a good game, but it's really weird in a way some people really appreciate. I know like Alana Pierce, who works at Funhouse now, but when I was listening to her on IGN podcast, she always said that Deadly Premonition was her favorite game. And I don't understand how it's your favorite game. I can understand why you respect it and why you enjoy it, but just the idea of it being your favorite game baffles me a little bit. But if you're into sort of like really weird, I guess, murder mystery games, it probably wouldn't hurt giving the original a go. It's $22.50, I think, on the Australian eShop at the moment. A bit less if you're in the Americas or anywhere else in the world, since our dollar's so bad at the moment. But I am interested to see what Deadly Premonition 2 is all about, like whether it's as janky as it used to be, like the original used to be, or whatever. It is. It was a weird pickup for Nintendo to get this game on the Switch. So yeah. All right, I'm losing my voice a bit here, guys. God, let me have a sip of water. Oh, delicious. All right, I'm back a bit. So, all right, we're over an hour, so I'll let you all go. Oh, let me pull up my things. So, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 140. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a nice 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, like Zach Jackson did. And you can follow me on Twitter at iDruby, and you can follow the show at the House of Mario. If you'd like to join our Discord community, I urge you very much to do so. We have an invite in the show notes. And I want to sort of get some more interactivity for Animal Crossing. At the moment, I know Jamie and Luke and all that aren't into Animal Crossing. That's fair enough. You be you, but I would love to have a bit of an Animal Crossing community in there and be able to do turnip prices and do multiplayer and all of that type of thing. I'm thinking that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah. So this week's Nintendo Jukebox is Console Wars, and it's by MC Lars and Megaran. And this actually came up in my Spotify new release playlist for the week. And when it first came up, I'm like, oh god, this is a nerdy rap song, but it's actually really cool. Megaran is one of my favorite artists. I absolutely love him. I think his lyrics are fantastic, and just it's an all-around really cool song. So obviously it just came out since it was in my new release playlist. So I'm going to share it with you guys, and there is links to it on Spotify, and I'll try and get it for Apple Podcasts. I'm not subscribed to Apple Podcasts, but not Apple Podcast, Apple Music, Apple something. Anyway, I'm going to give my throat a bit of a rest, and I'll catch you next week for the another episode of the House of Mario. So, until next week, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. Catch you later.
Sega vs. Nintendo, David vs. Goliath, Sonic vs. Mario, a challenger arises. Marketing and strategy, the tortoise and the hare. Defined a generation, here's the story, we were there.
In 1983, E.T. the game, a catastrophic failure and a shame, but the start of an insane war. Atari and television Coleco, but too many choices just divided the people.
Shigeru Miyamoto knew it couldn't be the end, so he built a game called Donkey Kong, which helped to launch Nintendo. Through guerrilla marketing, he shook the planet from its slumber when he introduced the soon-to-be iconic Brooklyn Plumber.
And an entertainment company from Hawaii would enter, built on slot machines but became a game contender. They started off slowly, but what helped them get across was a sleek black system and a speedy hedgehog.
It was Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario,
a challenger arises.
defined a generation
Like no system had before.
A battleground in every store, choose your side, console
It
wars.
was
Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario,
a challenger arises.
defined a generation
Like no system had before.
A battleground in every store, choose your side, console wars. Nintendo used relationships with Walmart and with Target, keeping Sonic off the shelves, they monopolized the market with a 95% share. That's ridiculous. So Sega got meticulous with marketing conspicuous.
Yeah, they hired a top dog, formerly of Mattel. Turned the game around and new strategies would prevail. Toys were just fads, but games were big businesses. Sega went hard with the relaunch of the Genesis.
While Minoru Arakawa wanted strict control of every gaming console that Nintendo sold, when the game Genie dropped, they sued Galoo. Anger in the players with their stuck-up attitude.
I heard the Genesis claim to do what Nintendo don't. They skipped the kids and marketed to the young adults with major licenses like Spider-Man and Michael Jackson. And Game Genie action, the war was on and
It was
crashing.
Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario.
a challenger arises
Define a generation,
like no system had before.
a battleground in every store. Choose your side, console
It was
wars. Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario.
a challenger arises
Define a generation,
like no system had before.
a battleground in every store. Choose your side, console wars. 1992, the evidence was there. Sega's lead was gaining with an increased market share. So Nintendo leveled up with that Super FX chip. The 3D looked amazing, and Star Fox was a hit.
They hit them off with portables, Sega's next strategy. Game Gear was tight, but it burned through some batteries. Blood of Mortal Kombat, shower scene in Night Trap. Congress built the ratings war cause parents didn't like
But then
that.
Donkey Kong Country and Mario Kart brought Nintendo to the finish line and showed a lot of heart. With timeless characters that we all still adore. From Pikachu to Mega Man to Wario and more. And Sega dropped the
32X to Sega CD to Dreamcast, but it was not the same. Sega was out the game. We had some good times, the past was a blast though. And later Sonic even made a cameo in Smash
It
Bros.
was Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario.
a challenger arises
Define a generation,
like no system had before.
a battleground in every store. Choose your side, console wars. Sega vs. Nintendo,
David vs. Goliath,
Sonic vs. Mario.
a challenger arises
Define a generation,
like no system had before.
a battleground in every store. Choose your side, console wars.